Hello, hello. I am Mayor Watt. That is ohmTown.com. That's the place that I'm the mayor of. Okay, so what is ohmTown? ohmTown is a news aggregation site. Bunch of articles get funneled into 6 main categories. They're here at the top of the website: create, news, education, entertainment, social, and technology. Everything is on ohmTown.com. It gets pushed over to YouTube eventually, pretty much every day. Not pretty much. It does every day, and a podcast. I stream here on Twitch. I try to post on Twitter. Sometimes I fail to, like today. I actually have a Patreon as well, and a Discord channel, and TikTok. But I don't do stuff in a lot of these places, mainly because I'm not really streaming to a lot of people. But I am streaming every day since the beginning of the year. Only an hour. Lately, this last week, it's been kind of crazy because I didn't plan for everybody coming knocking on the mayor's door, but that's exactly what happened. And I have an open door policy, so I have to triage. Up until then, I had been streaming every day, either at 11 p.m. When I first started, moving it to 6 and then 11 a.m. and sometimes even at 1 as this last week went by. I was hoping that I'd be able to do more streaming today. It doesn't seem to be the case, but tomorrow I will be streaming more. That said, let's get into today's news. The very first article is over in the Smack Talk channel. I need to grab something real quick. I'm real sorry here. One moment. Okay. The first article is right there. And it says Apple store opens in Wuhan with China's first Apple pickup area. I only clicked on this because maybe that pickup area is where you can pick up your own custom brand of coronavirus. Too soon. Anyway, the article's over at Apple Insider, and it's written by Malcolm Owen. And Apple stores are really, I don't know, they're pretty, but most stores have a kind of like a value per square foot kind of thing. You have to generate revenue per square foot, and maybe Apple is doing that, and that's why the products are expensive. But they have great bang for buck. So I use my iPad is pretty much operational 18 hours out of the day. Yeah, I mean, it's on, it's sitting right here and it's on. My phone is right here and it's on, and I have Apple stuff elsewhere and it too is on. So I guess it's worth it to me. That said, that Apple store opening up in Wuhan, which is the apparently the source of the the COVID-19 virus, from a wet market just outside of Wuhan. Teased in April with a wallpaper, Apple finally opened the doors to its Apple Wuhan store on Saturday. Opened later than anticipated, the outlet is on the second floor of the International Plaza Shopping Center in Hubei province. Yeah, there is a virology institute, kind of a university research environment right there where supposedly the COVID-19 virus spawned from. Yeah, interesting. Not the university, but the wet market that's, I think, maybe a mile away from it. I'm sure accidents happen. Let's move on to the next article. In an unfortunate set of events leading to somebody saying that they're sorry, I don't know. To me, it seems like this could have been mitigated by having more than one place producing the formula at a volume that if one goes down, the other one can pick it up. But we have a supply chain issue along with other things that have led to the baby formula shortage. This is over on the Hatch Ideas channel. Abbott CEO Ford says, "We're sorry," in a Washington Post op-ed, which I don't care about the op-ed. I really don't care. The problem is that mergers and acquisitions and producers of these products, there needs to be more competition. There needs to be more domestic production. There needs to be more. And when there is less, then things are constrained artificially to increase the profit margin. Now, this particular CEO is making somewhere around $24 million in total compensation, with a cash compensation of just shy of $12 million in a year. If everybody would just have some modicum, little bit of awareness about how this disparity exists, how much of a disparity between what people are making and CEOs of major companies. But supposedly you can't get quality people unless you pay them an exorbitant amount of money. I don't care for a sorry. What I want really is a greater inability to hamstring baby formula. And then when something like this is on the horizon, immediately start clamping down on the ability for some people to go out there because they have money, or they want to peg their credit card. They can go out and scoop it all up and then start selling it on what amounts to a black market of baby formula, which is sick and twisted. Anyway, I'm a little opinionated about this because I think that this could have been avoided. There should be more places that are producing this. So what's stopping people? So this is a CNBC article written by Dan Mangan. And the shortage has moved Congress and Biden administration to take emergency actions to alleviate it, even though there are some in the government that are voting against being able to facilitate mitigating policy and procedure. Oddly, all on one side of the aisle. Again, it goes to openness, inclusion, sympathy, compassion, understanding, and then sociopathy on the other side. Abbott Laboratories CEO Robert Ford apologized in a new Washington Post op-ed, which had to have been expensive, for his company's role in a nationwide shortage of baby formula. Yeah. So they said, "We're making significant investments to ensure this never happens again." Well, it never happened before. So why did it suddenly happen now after a pandemic? And supply chains were known for 2 years that there was a problem. Suddenly this happens, and it says the plant was responsible for producing up to 25% of the nation's baby formula. When one plant is producing 25% of it, of the nation's baby formula, you've got a problem. So, is there an open source baby formula where anybody can produce it, bring it to market, and the only thing that matters is that there are people that are setting it up in such a way that it is just as clean a formula as Abbott's? Spin it up, make 5% margin, sell it like it's baby formula, and survive on the 5%, and do that for 20 companies, and you're making, with greater threats mitigated, the greater number of threats mitigated across the board. If you do that with 20 things and each one of your projects are making 5% margin, guess what? I mean, if your take home is 5%, you're doing pretty good, right? Not necessarily. You don't become a billionaire by having a low amount of money that you're pulling out of the enterprise when you could be charging more and making, only 10% of the customer base not be able to purchase because you're pricing them out. What's going to happen here is the price for these goods is going to go through the roof. Not just now because of the shortage, but in the future, you'll see the prices are going to go up for baby formula. So let's come up with an open source baby formula. And if we can come up with an open source baby food formula where we can source it, then and people don't want to make it necessarily, right? They don't have time, they don't have patience, they don't have the quality control, but maybe a bunch of us can work together and start producing baby formula at a reasonable, responsible price. So here we have another issue. Jif Peanut Butter recalled over suspected salmonella outbreak that has hospitalized 2 people. It's only 2 people, right? It's only 2 people. Some Jif, but they detected it. So Jif is recalling some peanut butter products following suspected salmonella contamination that has hospitalized 2 people. J.M. Smucker initiated a voluntary recall of several products containing the contaminated peanut butter manufactured at its Lexington, Kentucky facility. This article is over at businessinsider.com and it's by Ryan Hogg. Jif was one of my favorite peanut butter makers. I rarely eat peanut butter anymore, but Jif was very well known, is very well known, responsible brand as far as I know. But here we have another biological matter, right? The baby food formula one was as well. So what is going on? What's falling apart? What's falling apart all of a sudden? The next article is over in the Hedge Ideas channel. Crude oil is selling for over 100 a barrel, but 200 years ago it was a plentiful resource used in medicine and cosmetics. Here are 15 surprising facts about the history of oil and gas. Well, let's go over to the link. Are we only 3 articles into it? Yeah, this is the 4th article. Hold on one second. I didn't throw the Jif one into the chat, so there's the 4th one. Okay, but let's go on to crude oil, right? So this article is by Dominic Reuter at Business Insider. And they make mention in the title that it's over $100 a barrel and that 200 years ago was a plentiful resource used in medicine and cosmetics. Well, like most things, if it gets traction, then it gets consumed more, but that's not really what has impacted the price of oil. So up until the 60s, the price for oil was sub $30, barely ever touching $30 a barrel. But then OPEC was formed. OPEC is basically a consortium of oil producing nations. And most of them are in the Middle East. And because I have been doing some research into this, what happened was right around the summer of 1973, OPEC was actually formed in the 60s, but and the price continued to drop. And then right around the summer of 73, somebody with an MBA must have gone over and said, hey, you know what we need to do? Let's jack the prices up. And so it started to skyrocket. And within a year, it doubled in price. And then within about a decade, it jumped to 140, which is known as the late 70s gas shock inflation. And then it dropped all the way back down again to around $30. And since then, it has bounced around until right around 2004, where it started skyrocketing again, where we hit another inflationary, recessionary period in 2008 until 2009, and then it plummeted again because everybody basically stayed home, and it never really recovered. It came it never dropped back down to that $30 price. It just kind of crawled around 120 until 2014, and then it plummeted again to around $60 on average, maybe 65. And then COVID hit and it dropped down to about $30 or so. So, but since then, between the pandemic start and today, it has recovered back to these periods from the 2010, 2018 period. So there's a quick history of oil prices, right? But what's really weird about this is that the price for oil from the 40s all the way to 70, it all stayed under $30 a barrel. And then OPEC formed, and investors started investing in oil futures. And that is what's creating the volatility. So, but the people are saying that the stock market, in business school, you get told the reason for the stock market was to even out the highs and lows of the stock market, of economics. In that there are wild fluctuations, but unfortunately what you're seeing, what I just described to you, and I don't have it set up to show you my screen so you can see it, but just do a search for the history of oil prices, and you will see for yourself the volatility that is the crude oil market. So regardless of what this article is really saying, oil has really been impacted most by what I would call greed. Because it was being pulled out of the ground and shipped everywhere for less than $30 a barrel. And then the moment that investors got a hand on, oh, look, there's margin there, let me go rip people off, you ended up with this. Now, I'm sure there's all kinds of research and whatnot that goes into converting oil into cleaner gas, and whatever else, but that's part of the fundamental research and development of new products. Plain and simple. Why is it volatile to this degree in the 21st century? Most people have stopped talking about peak oil. We're looking at other things, electricity, wind, solar, to move away from diesel and gas and oil in general. But why now? Why since the 70s has it been so volatile? Which is ironic since it's oil and gas and it burns. Anyway, oil coming out of the ground, pumping oil out of the earth as you pump water nonsense. You're crazy. It says one 19th century banker, when asked for funding for the novel idea of drilling for oil, famously scoffed at the idea. So this article over at Business Insider pretty much reaches into the history of oil acquisition. They have pictures from Titusville, Pennsylvania, probably a couple from Texas, I'm sure. Drillers set off the first ever gusher in April 1861, sending 3,000 barrels per day up into the air before an explosion and fire that killed 19 people and burned for 3 days. Hey, guess what? So, and these are old school pictures of the history. So if you want to see some bygone days of oil, go over to the Business Insider and read this article. I won't go through them all. It's really fascinating, but gasoline wasn't really the big deal. It was just oil in and of itself because it was used for so many other things. But eventually, gasoline was created from it. And we, quote, well, as the saying goes, we're paying for it ever since. I'm just scrolling through these pictures real quick to see if there's anything of interest here. Railed against the corporate price manipulation, warning that if it were to continue, the people of this country must be prepared before long to pay at least $1 a gallon for gasoline. Missed it by a factor of 6. Well, let's continue on to the next article. Be sure to go and check that out. You can follow the link through ohmTown over to Business Insider, or just go straight over to Business Insider. That's fine. This next article is over in Hatch Ideas. That's the channel, but it was aggregated from Business Insider. They're one of my favorite sources for news. This article is titled that they substituted alcohol with psychedelic water, a kava seltzer that's gone viral on TikTok, and found that it's the perfect drink for the sober curious. Younger generations are changing their relationship with booze amid the sober curious movement. Alcoholic alternatives like kava seltzers and CBD drinks are becoming more popular as a result. The author drank TikTok's viral psychedelic water as an alcohol substitute to see what the trend is all about. So they wrote about it, huh? So Hannah Toei is the author of this over at Business Insider. And, it's ready to drink. Apparently it's a ready to drink CBD. I'm not sure. Psychedelic water. But it's in a can, so I guess you can buy it somewhere. Thursday night, friends were hosting a dinner party at their apartment. They sipped on wine and margaritas, and after a long day at work, they were tempted to join in. Instead, they sat down on the couch, cracked open a shiny metallic can that looked like hard seltzer. It was called Psychedelic Water. Are you tripping right now, is what their friend said. Told them no, explained the story behind the drink. Despite the name, Psychedelic Water doesn't include LSD or psilocybin, and definitely won't make you hallucinate. The main ingredient is kava, a root that's been used by Pacific Islanders for thousands of years for its relaxing effects. Combined with Damiana leaf and green tea extract, the drink is formulated to relieve anxiety while also boosting energy. Okay. It's been shown to have a small effect on reducing anxiety, says NIH. But it's been linked to a risk of, and have been linked to a risk of severe liver injury, also according to the NIH. The main side effect that they experienced while drinking psychedelic water was an occasional tingling sensation on their tongue, and minor stomach pains. Well, okay, I'm out. I don't think I need that. Anyway, non-alcoholic beverage sales surge as consumers reassess their relationship with alcohol. Well, I'd rather not have liver failure of any kind, so I don't think that I'm going to be throwing some questionable materials. I think it's bad enough what we get. But we like taste. We like diversity in our meals. So, we would be better off just drinking a nutrient-rich shake, but we don't like doing that for long term. You have to have a diverse diet so that you have a broad spectrum of gut flora. Anyway, so I think that this is probably one of those flash in the pan kind of things. It'll disappear in time, like many things, or it'll be regulated out, like Jolt Cola. So let's continue on. Next article. The Sunday Read. Can virtual reality help ease chronic pain? Yes. VR treatments may provide relief similar to intravenous opioids, a tantalizing prospect for the millions of Americans living with chronic pain. I don't know why they said limited it to Americans, but many, many, many years ago, that is what the research that I was doing was looking at. I wasn't involved in anything. You might as well just call it the preliminaries of what fundamental research would have been doing in a university or a medical research facility. I was interested in phobia treatment. I was interested in pain management using VR. And we could measure heart rate and galvanic skin response, breath rate, pupil dilation. We could measure how hard you were breathing and see if the virtual environment we placed you in was helping or exacerbating, if it was mitigating or exacerbating your pain or your fear, whatever was going on. In fact, I wanted to apply VR to um, psychology, well, therapy in general, so that you could manage your own therapy of pain and phobias. So we would put you into a room, VR room with goggles, glasses, but it was a heads up NHMD, a head mounted display was much bigger back then. And depending on how your body reacted to throwing a spider on the floor, it would either get bigger or smaller depending on your reaction. Pretty plain and simple. And the same thing with pain. Did it help or hurt? And my cursory look into this proved that yeah, it could. Now there are people that have been doing this a much deeper level over the last 30 years and taken it to the next step. So this is actually a podcast, so you'll have to go over to it. It's the Daily from NewYorkTimes.com, and it was written by Helen Oyang, I guess Oyang, and produced by Jack Diaz-Adoro and Aaron Esposito. Now, it's a podcast, so all you have to do is open up your podcatcher, whatever it is that you're using, and do a search for it, and you'll find it. So go and check it out. And I subscribe to this, although I haven't listened to this particular episode. And let's see here if it explained virtual reality's rise as an unlikely tool for solving the intractable problem of pain, but she also highlights those set to benefit financially from the treatment. The virtual reality sector in healthcare alone is, according to some estimates, already valued at billions of dollars and is expected to grow. You'll have to listen to the podcast to get the most out of this article. So go and check it out. Obviously, you can listen to it via their website, and you can follow the link from ohmTown over, or just go straight over to the New York Times and listen or search for the Daily. Can virtual reality help ease chronic pain? In my opinion, yes. Same thing with phobias. You can actually quite possibly take the therapist out of the therapy. The next article is over in the Hatch Ideas channel. Tour all of the coolest parts of Ford's electric F-150 Lightning, from its frunk, which is a front trunk, to its taillights. The F-150 Lightning is Ford's new all-electric pickup truck. It's a lot like the regular F-150 pickup with tons of extra features built in. Take a tour of the coolest parts of Ford's revolutionary electric pickup. Let's click the link. It takes you over to Business Insider again, and Tim Levin is the author. And there you go, a picture of the F-150. There's a lot to it, so you should probably go and do a deeper dive into it. But it's really quiet. It's very responsive. For all intents, it's been kind of dialed down so that you can't just overwhelm yourself. I'm not sure if they'll continue to enhance it so that you get more and more power or have the ability to unlock its total potential. But from what I hear, it's a great truck. I have not, I don't own one. I won't be ordering probably an EV for another borderline 3 years or so. I want to see what comes out of some fundamental research in battery technology. Just the amount of time that I have to spend charging is just too much for me. So they have a really nice, interesting style of lighting where it's more like a glow than it is a beam of light shining out from a central location. It just seems like it glows everywhere. It's really nice. So all but the cheapest model have slim LED light bars that stretch the width of the tailgate in back and the width of the hood in front. And yeah, I think if you're interested in a truck and you don't mind the issues with the not just the time, but the amount of time you can spend on the road and then the amount of time you have to spend off the road charging, you might like the Ford Lightning if you're looking for a truck. And there is the frunk, which, because the engine's gone, you no longer have to worry about the engine, right? So you can use that space for storage, which is awesome because you can leave the bed of the truck unlocked, wide open, no cover, nothing. As long as there isn't anything of great value or ease of exfiltration, you can just leave it wide open, but you can put all of your valuables in the trunk. Oh, I should say frunk. Sorry, the front trunk. And it's huge. It's basically like the size. It's almost like the full volume of the bed of the truck, for crying out loud. It's just huge. So pretty neat. I dig it. You could probably put a couple people in there, and they could sit in the front seat, so to speak. If you were to put seats there and remove the hood, that could be like a front row seating. You just have to wear some type of face mask because the bugs will get in your teeth, like riding a motorcycle. Maybe not. I'm not going to give anybody else any other ideas about this. So I'm going to move on to the next article. The next article is in the Hatch Ideas channel, and it says a Tesla driver who had his car on autopilot in a fatal crash faces manslaughter charges. Honestly, to me, I think this is the first time I've heard anything that involves this where it seems like somebody's being charged with it. The fatal accident in 2019 occurred when Kevin George Aziz Riyadh, 27, was driving a Tesla Model S at 74 miles per hour in Gardena. A Tesla driver is facing trial on 2 counts of vehicular manslaughter, Fox Business reported. This is not aggregated from Fox Business, though. This is from businessinsider.com. So they're re-reporting something from another place. The driver had a hand on the steering wheel in the crash in which 2 people died in 2019. The Tesla driver was using its Autopilot features when the crash occurred in Los Angeles. So why? Let's click the link. Jyoti Mann is the author of this article over at Business Insider. And let's see if I can... They do this really neat summary of the thing. A Tesla driver is facing trial on 2 counts of vehicular manslaughter. Says Fox Business Report. The driver had a hand on the steering wheel in the crash, and the Tesla driver was using its autopilot. So I'm trying to figure out why they would be charged. Prosecutors said the Tesla's autopilot features, including auto steer and traffic-aware cruise control, were being used when the driver crashed into the Honda. 6 minutes before the collision, no brakes were used. Crash data showed. But sensors appeared to show that the driver being tried for manslaughter had a hand on the steering wheel, according to a Tesla engineer who testified. The driver will now be tried on 2 counts of vehicular manslaughter. Let's see. A number of car crashes have been recorded while drivers used Tesla auto functions, and the first self-driving related death was recorded in 2016. Yeah, there's a whole lot of context that's missing from a summary like that. But if you want to learn more about this, then go over to the businessinsider.com article by Jyoti Mann. Again, it's in the show notes. Let's continue on. I don't have that many articles today. Sundays tend to be kind of a slow news day, and I don't necessarily want to just fill it up for the sake of being filled up. So let's just keep on going and see where this conversation takes us. This next article is in the Continuity Report, which is about movies. Morgan Freeman, John Hutcherson's team on time-bending time-bending thriller, 57 seconds, and they have a first-look photo. Morgan Freeman and Josh Hutcherson star in 57 Seconds, a thriller based in the world of tech and big pharma. Interesting. It will be one of the movies. I'm really interested in time and time travel. I'm interested in the science and science fiction thereof, and I even have a show that I want to bring to Twitch called Temporology, where we talk about all of that kind of stuff. Obviously, I'm not an expert in the physics of time and time travel because we don't have time travel. At least we don't in the scientific and the science fiction sense. We have it in the scientific sense. We are in a time machine right now, traveling 1 second at a time into the future. There, we are in the future, and now we're in the future again. Yes, I'm being pedantic and pretty cringy and dumb, but at any rate, let's move on. This article's over at Variety.com by Carol Horst. And in 57 seconds, tech blogger Franklin Fausti, or Fausty, is Hutcherson, lands a career-defining interview with a visionary technology guru, Anton Burrell, who is Morgan Freeman. After thwarting an attack against the celebrated technophile, Franklin picks up a mysterious ring that Burrell dropped, and soon discovers the ring allows its possessor to travel 57 seconds into the past. Driven by revenge and with Burrell's support, Franklin uses the ring to dismantle the pharmaceutical company responsible for his sister's death. That is a hell of a spoiler. I'm not going to delete it, though. The article was over at Variety. I'm not going to continue to read the rest of this, but they probably should have flagged that as a spoiler. I don't get spoiled by things. It'll be a fun watch no matter what. But let's continue on. I watched this today, and it's in the continuity report as well. SNL season finale lets McKinnon, Bryant, Mooney, and Davidson say goodbye. I'm going to click the link, and it'll just take us over to Variety, and it's written by Brian Steinberg. And I watched all of these of saying goodbye, except for Kyle Mooney. I didn't see the skit that he did that allowed him to say goodbye. But Kate McKinnon did the alien abduction one. A.D. Bryant did a news report to say bye. Like I said, I missed Kyle Mooney. Pete Davidson did a news segment so that he could say goodbye. And it was really quick. So good luck to them all, wherever they're going to end up. It said, that made appearances by the actors all more emotional during NBC's broadcast of SNL's final season. Season finale. Let me say that. Let me rephrase that. It was the SNL's season finale, not the final season of SNL. There will probably be forever SNL. McKinnon made one more run as Ms. Rafferty, the rundown and out woman who is abducted and probed by aliens. Yeah, it was a fun series of skits. If you want to watch them, they're all on YouTube right now. You can go and watch all of those little skits. I love watching Weekend News Update, so it's a lot of fun. Anyway, if you want to read even more about this, then head on over to Variety and how SNL said goodbye to Kate McKinnon, Pete Davidson, A.D. Bryant, and Kyle Mooney. Let's go on to the next article. This is about a game called the Apico. About a year ago, we spotted Apico, a pretty cool looking game about beekeeping and conservation. It's out now, properly released and all that, and looks a delight. There's a demo that you can play, and it takes you through the first few hours of the game. But basically, you get paid and honey to beekeep, which it's important. We need to make people aware of the there's basically a purge of bees happening. For whatever reason, nature is basically taking bees out of the equation. So we need some more people educated in the the need to keep bees alive and not treat them as pests. Now, I'm not a big fan of bees because I don't like being stung, but if you treat them right, they never sting you. Yeah, some of them have a bad attitude. Anyway, in Apico, you're a beekeeper and conservationist whose job is to collect, breed, and conserve a variety of bees. It's a game of resource gathering, bee biology, little mini games, and the like. It's neat, all about not just taking the bees, but understanding taking care of the bees. They missed a word. Taking care of the bees, but understanding the distribution of flowering plants and the bees need to survive. It takes ideas from a mix of real life and fantasy, apiculture, and floriculture, says the developers. Let's click the link. It'll take us over to PC Gamer, and the author is Jonathan Boulding. They have a little snippet of it, and it's over on YouTube. I think I'm going to buy this game so I can support its efforts to educate. And it's kind of my style of game, kind of chill, nothing really crazy. But it has, how can I describe it? Let me see. I want to see something real quick if I can. It kind of has the same style of Wanderlust and not really that. Let's see. Kind of like Noble Fates and I don't know, Necess, a few others. I mean, Kingdoms and Castles, that kind of a thing. I mean, kind of, sort of. It's hard to explain it. But it's cartoony in nature, not hyper realistic in its artwork. But it looks like it would be a fun game to play. So it says the developers of Apico will put part of the income from sales toward national and international beekeeping charities. And you can find Apico on Epic Games, Humble, itch.io, and Steam, and Utomic, which I've never heard of, Utomic. And you can also check out the website, apico.buzz, apico.buzz. Go and check it out. Let them know that you like their message. And if you can, buy it wherever, whatever platform you want. Let's go on to the next article. I've got about 4 more. The next article is over on the Warcrafters channel. This week in PC gaming, my time at Sandrock, Sniper Elite 5, and Ko the Kangaroo. I think it's Ko the Kangaroo. The kangaroo. I'm going to get it right one of these days. Words are hard. Welcome to This Week in PC Gaming. That's the show that they put together over at PCGamer.com. It's a segment, a show where we take a look at the new games, updates, and more coming at you over there every week. Now, they may have an early access of my time at Sandrock, but it's not available yet. I won't play the video. You can go over to PC Gamer and watch that over there. Lauren Aitken is the author of the article. It says, somehow it's all about survival and success this week, so let's jump in. That's what they say over there. And it looks like it's nothing but this episode. I don't think I've ever seen the other ones on their website, but at any rate, my time at Sandrock doesn't come out until later this month. I think it's on the, well, it might be next week. Let me make sure. Here, 1 second. Let me back up a little bit. I think it might be in my history. Yeah, I think that my time at Sandrock is coming out. Oh yeah, May 26th. So it is kind of the follow-on of my time at Porsche, but now it's going to be in a desert setting. It seems, it looks like to me. If there's more to this article, it's not here on the website. But definitely go over to PC Gamer and watch the video that's there. It's This Week in PC Gaming over on YouTube. The next article is over in Smack Talk. Woman claims $40,000 in credit card fraud occurred after losing their Apple Watch. A visitor at Disney World dubiously claims she is the victim of credit card fraud valued at over $40,000 after dropping her watch at a ride at Disney World. While stories of lost or misplaced Apple devices are a regular occurrence, it is rare for device owners to lose significant sums from that loss. Click the link. Well, I can tell you that that can happen, but I'm pretty sure that if I scroll through this article, I'm going to find out that she has her credit card attached to it, but not password protected. And its auto lockout system wasn't activated either. I don't know if there is a check for that in the process of adding your credit card to your Apple Watch or your wallet. But let's see what happens here. So this is an article over at appleinsider.com, and it's by Malcolm Owen. See, if I lose my watch, the moment that it comes off my arm, it's password protected. So you would have to figure out what the code is. If it's abysmally weak, like you just put in the code 1111, somebody's going to get into it. But once you activate it on your arm, it stays active. If it falls off, it automatically locks. If you have your credit card attached to your wallet on your Apple Watch, somebody theoretically can use that. They can put it on, they can pretend it's theirs. They just walk up and they swipe it on the NFC system, and the transaction is paid for. Now, you get notified when there's a transaction. So something was lost in the communication between device and the human. But it says, according to the report from the Orange County Sheriff's Office, seen by WDW News today, a park guest lost her watch on the seas with Nemo and friends at Epcot. At a point when the ride was on an elevated position, the guest dropped it's a Hermes or Hermes edition watch through a grating floor on the ride. So let's see. Well, now I know why there's $40,000 worth of credit that was taken. Fraud alerts allegedly totaled $40,000 on her charges to her card. Hearing that, the woman then shut down the relevant credit cards. Maybe more than one, I guess. Huh? Okay. Oh, wow. She has an American Express with an unlimited credit line. Complicating the incident is a claim that the woman started to receive fraud alerts for her credit card. And she says that several cards were loaded onto the Apple Watch, including an American Express. Yeah, so there's some mitigation liability issues that I can see coming up, and maybe for the goodwill of it, the charges will just kind of go away. But it says here, as an Apple Watch automatically locks for security after it's been removed from the wrist, the correct PIN would need to be required to unlock it before a payment can be made. Unless the code is an extremely easily guessed number, it is improbable that the code could be entered correctly without any hints within a few tries. Yeah, that's just what I got done saying. So, I don't know. And wherever these charges are being made, there's going to be video. So somebody is going to be caught in short order. If it rises to the level where they care, because it's expensive to hunt somebody down for fraud of $40,000. Somebody has to be an interested party, and the bank may not even be interested in pursuing it. The next article, and I'll move on. The next article is over in the ohmTown channel, the ohmTown Daily News, which is this show. Plane carrying more than 7,500 pounds of imported baby formula lands in the United States. It's a weird time to be around because I never thought that I'd be standing in line for toilet paper, but here I am, standing in line for toilet paper at the beginning of this pandemic. It was wild. Never thought that I'd have to sit there and wonder, can I afford a graphics card because people are buying them. A card that was on the shelves for $700 was selling for $3,000. Never thought that I would see the day where that was happening. I never thought that I'd have to wonder if it was worthwhile to go and buy a new car, because once the car was on the lot, suddenly it was about $12,000 more expensive. And cars in general seem to be really expensive. I've seen some Camaros selling for $80,000. Camaros. And here we are, because a single plant produces 25% of the nation's baby formula. We have to ship baby formula from other places into the United States. So in previous episodes, I have kind of joked, not really joked, I've drawn attention to the fact that a lot of countries really should be able to support their domestic populations entirely internally. Is it more expensive? Yeah. But because we operate government like a business nowadays, without any idea of the idea that government should never fail. It should never fail. It should never run as if it's a business, because most businesses fail within 5 years. And the people that are running it like a business have zero compunction about risk assessment. They think that it's other people's money, so let's do whatever the hell we want to. And it's a misperception. Government should never fail. Okay, it shouldn't be shutting down like it seems to be with the frequency of a cheap ham radio. It should never take inordinate amounts of risk. And where it funnels billions of dollars or trillions of dollars into upper echelon business that supposedly trickles down like pee onto its citizenry from the businesses, right? The money saved the businesses, but it didn't really save the people, because the businesses were saving their butts while people were going bankrupt. So the next trillions of dollars of packages needs to go to the middle class and the people that are just stifled by debts and loans and burdens that are born from the pandemic and other things that are being exerted upon them. And not the very businesses that are doing this, that never wavered in their margins, never took the hit, but the people always take the hit. Well, a business can shut down and another one can spin up, but the people are taking the hit. Ultimately, the people, the middle class, is taking the hit. They need the same benefit that has been leveraged for multi-trillion-dollar businesses. It needs to be all of that wealth, all of the taxes, all of that stuff that has been given out to businesses needs to be given to the people so that they can be alleviated of their burdens. Because the moment you remove that financial burden, and this has been demonstrated in research, the moment that you remove the financial burdens, even if they painted themselves into a corner, so did every single one of those businesses. Don't forget that. Businesses painted themselves into the corner in 2008, and that's why they collapsed. They took exorbitant risks, and they paid there. Then the banks collapsed, and then the people ended up losing their shirts because everything collapsed. But if they would have given the money to the people, it would have saved them, and all of that money would have eventually funneled back up to the executive suite. So trickle-down economics is bogus. It's really trickle up. We need to get over this idea that the kings of old are the business of today. That's not how it works. It's the middle class that makes everything work, not the upper echelon, because anybody in the middle class can go to the upper echelon of the executive suite. All they have to do is be given the opportunity and show that they can do it. That's what all of these other people have done, sort of, because a lot of them are coming from silver spoon in mouth kind of environments where, like I said earlier, it's been demonstrated that if you have to worry about where your money's coming from, where your food is coming from, who's going to be exerting gang violence in your neighborhood, who's going to be setting a car on fire or beating you up while you're walking down the street, when you have to worry about survival, you stop worrying about everything else. You can't get ahead. You basically are oppressed by society around you. And guess what history shows has been happening since the creation of the United States? Oppression of a people of one way or another. And now we're just using socioeconomic status to do it. So give us all a break, you know? Why are margins 30%? Why are our CEOs making $12 million in cash and another $12 million in stock? And then you go and look at the stock market and it's blowing away any multitude, a multiple of the GDP. There's no way that our GDP pays for the stock market. So where all of this paper money, all of this ledger money, there's money that exists in the stock market that doesn't exist in reality because we have fiat currency. We are living above our means because there are a few people that are taking all of that wealth in the guise of providing a service. So why are we importing? Well, it's because only a few people are now in control of all of the baby formula in the United States. Kind of odd to me. So why don't we fix it? I said it earlier. Let's come up with an open source baby food, open source formula, and have people in each state producing it enough for the state. And where others are falling short, we can provide it. Right? We don't have to have huge margins. 5% margin, I think it'd be just fine. Right? Enough to store money for growth of the business, enough to live off of. And we can employ a whole bunch of people. All I need is the loan to do it. Oh, but I can't, right? Because I'm not already a billionaire and have the connections and the means to ask for money risk-free. No, my shirt's on the line if I start trying to do this on my own. And you can't do this small. You have to start big. Why do you think that there are only a few producers of baby formula? Anyway, the aircraft is carrying the equivalent of 500,000 8-ounce bottles. That'll go by quick. Have you seen how much a baby eats? My God. Just goes in one end, out the other. Anyway, this article's over at ABC News by Alexandra Hutzler. Not much more to this article. I mean, they have pictures and they go into a little bit more detail, but go over and check it out. I think that you'll find it fascinating. And then finally, this last article, I don't know if I'm actually going to get through it because there is a huge storm coming. You might hear it in the background. Let's see if I can get through this. The next article is in the Marble Channel. There's an animal that walks on 3 limbs, and it's a parrot. So lovebirds and perhaps other species seem to confound nature's strong preference for bilateral bodies. Let's click this link. This is a really interesting article because I've actually seen something about this before, not exactly this, so it is new to me to some degree, but it says here, scientists found an animal that walks on 3 limbs. It's a parrot, and they have a picture of a rosy-faced lovebird. Veronique, I think her name is, Greenwood, or their name is Veronica? It might be Veronica. It's I don't know. Anyway, Veronica Greenwood. Let's just say it that way. And they go into detail about this, but what they actually are showing here is a video, and this is the thing that I think is really interesting about this article. And you'll be able to go and read more about it. But basically, they measured how this lovebird is walking up a ladder in a laboratory environment. And it shows it using its beak, it shows it using its legs, and it shows using its tail. And so they combine both legs as just limb. And it shows basically pulling itself up. I've seen so many birds do this, though, so I don't know if it really applies only to this one type of bird, but they say, in fact, a new analysis of the forces climbing lovebirds exert reveals that it's precisely what they're doing. Somehow, a team of scientists wrote in the Journal of Proceedings of the Royal Society B on Wednesday, the birds and perhaps other parrot species have repurposed their muscles in their neck and head so that they can walk on their beaks, using them the way rock climbers use their arms. But I've seen this with many birds. I'm not sure why this is like wildly new, but I think it's interesting that they are actually tracking this and doing research on this. But yeah, it's kind of like cats bite you because they don't have any other way of getting your attention or motivating you. And with other cats, that's what they use. They use their mouth, their teeth. And so if they're really mad, they bite hard. And if they aren't really mad, then they'll just kind of nibble on you and try and pull your hand in one way or another. But animals use their mouth because they don't have any other way really to, it's not like they can grab a pen and write you a message. Give me food or I was going to say pull an Amber Heard and poo on your bed, but I don't know if that's actually what happened. So, and if this lands somewhere, who knows, might get a lawsuit thrown at me because I just watched a video from somebody that said that they've actually been mentioned in a lawsuit regarding that trial. Just weird. What a world we're living in. Anyway, why I even brought this up, I'll never know. So it's a neat article. Go over to the New York Times and check it out. And that's it for today. I think I'm done. I'm going to bring you back to the front page of the ohmTown and go over, become a citizen, sign up. It's real easy. Just click the button, fill out some fields, and boom, you are a citizen of ohmTown. Then come back and talk to me here in chat, and I'd love to have a conversation with you. So if you're sitting in chat, say hi. If not, I hope to see you the next time, and I'll be here tomorrow. I'm hoping to start streaming around 10 o'clock, but I wish I could promise that. I have another week, it seems, of being pulled in different directions by different people, so I'm kind of triaging everything. But I hope to see you tomorrow. But I will be streaming no matter what, sometime tomorrow. Yeah. Anyway, that's it. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.